Good day students. In this video lecture we will be seeing the need for optimization of IP with respect to the IoT. As we have discussed earlier, even though IP is the suitable candidate to be used as a network layer in IoT, there are a lot of challenges in building the IoT solutions based on IP. In addition to coping with the integration of the non-IP devices, we may need to deal with the limits at the device and network levels that IoT often imposes. Therefore, optimizations are needed at various layers of IP stack to handle the restrictions that are present in the IoT networks. So let us now see why optimization is necessary in IP based IoT solutions. So one thing is constrained nodes. This has been discussed in the module 2 of this course also, how the constrained nodes are posing a challenge for IoT. But here we are discussing with respect to the adoption or adaptation of the IP in the network layer. So IoT is a platform where different classes of devices coexist. Some devices may have a very small memory footprint, processing power, all those things. Some may have a very good processing power, good memory footprint, good battery backup and all. So there is a lot of variations in the classes of device which is being used in the IoT. So depending upon its functions in a network, a thing architecture may or may not offer similar characteristics compared to a generic PC or server in an IT environment. So in a typical IT environment, you know that a PC or a laptop or the mainframe which you are going to use has a certain capacity with respect to the memory processing power or the operating system it is going to use. But here it is highly variant and diverse, so the nodes will be constrained. So the another limit is that this network protocol stack on an IoT node may be required to communicate through an unreliable path. In case of IT, you are having a very reliable path set from the server to a particular desktop or a particular PC, but that may not be a case in IoT. So even if a full IP stack is available on the node, this causes the problems such as a limited or unpredictable throughput and low convergence when a topology change occurs. Finally, power consumption is a key characteristic of constrained node. Many IoT devices are battery powered with the lifetime battery requirements varying from a few months to 10 plus years. This drives the selection of networking technologies, since high-speed ones such as Ethernet, Wi-Fi and cellular are not yet capable of multi-year battery life. Suppose if you make use of the Wi-Fi connectivity or cellular connectivity in a low-powered battery devices, then it may not be capable of sustaining the battery power for multi-year or multiple months. In such cases, use of these technologies may not be suitable. So current capabilities practically allows less than a year life for these technologies on battery powered nodes. Of course, power consumption is much less of a concern on nodes that do not require batteries, but those who require the batteries, there the power consumption is a major concern. So we may go with some of the alternatives measures where we can conserve the power. To help the extend the battery life, we could enable a low power mode instead of always on mode. Or another option is always off, which means communications are enabled only when data is there to be sent. So IoT constrained nodes can be classified as follows. That is, devices that are very constrained in resources may communicate infrequently to transmit a few kilobytes or few bytes, and may have the limited security and management capabilities. That is the one classification of IoT constrained nodes, where you are having a very constrained resources which may communicate very infrequently to transmit the few bytes of data. Another classification is devices with the enough power and capacities to implement a stripped down IP stack or non-IP stack. So here the full fledged IP stack will not be there, but it may have the enough power and resources to run the stripped down form of the IP stack or the non-IP stack. Then one more class of devices are, it is similar to the generic PCs in terms of computing and power resources, but have the constrained networking capacities such as bandwidth. These nodes usually implement a full IP stack, but network design and application behaviors must cope with the bandwidth constraints. Next limitation which we are going to see, which may be a requirement for need for optimization, is constrained networks. In early years of internet, network bandwidth capacity was restrained due to the technical limitations. Connections often depended on the low speed modems for transferring data. However, these low speed connections demonstrated that IP could run over low bandwidth networks. The evolution of networking has seen the emergence of high speed infrastructures. However, high speed connections are not usable by some of the IoT devices in the last mile. The reasons include the implementation of technologies with the low bandwidth, limited distance, and bandwidth due to the regulated transmit power and lack of or limited network services. Since the constrained networks are there, use of the high speed IP may not be suitable owing to the factor of the power consumption or limited bandwidth availability in a particular device. So they may operate between a few KBs or few 100 KBs and may utilize star mesh or combined network topologies. So one of the golden rules in a constrained network is to underreact to failure. Due to the low bandwidth, a constrained network that overreacts can lead to a network collapse, which makes the existing problem worse. So we may need to underreact to the failure. Finally, we have to consider the power consumption in a battery powered nodes as described earlier. These two are the major concerns, constrained networks and constrained nodes, when we come to the adoption or adaptation of the IP with respect to IoT, and also pose a major challenge. Next, let us see the IP versions which may become a challenge for the IoT devices also, which has become a challenge for the IT network, because when we are having the two versions of the IP, it becomes challenging for the device to cope up with both the versions. Having said that, it is not possible for us to completely shift the IPv4 devices to IPv6 devices overnight. So the coexistence of IPv4 and IPv6 will be there for 10 to 20 years. To deal with both the versions, IoT has to deal with both the versions very appropriately. So Internet of Things has to follow a similar path which the Internet or IT has done itself to support both the IPv4 and IPv6 versions concurrently. So some of the factors which are applicable to IPv4 and IPv6 support in an IoT solution also, that is the application protocol. IoT devices implementing the Ethernet or Wi-Fi interfaces can communicate over both IPv4 and IPv6, but the application protocol may dictate the choice of IP version. For example, SCADA protocols, if you see, some of the standards under that or most of the standards under SCADA are specified only for IPv4. It cannot work on IPv6. So there are no known production implementations by the vendors of these protocols such as DNP3 or Modbus TCP for IPv6 today. For IoT devices with the application protocols defined by IETF such as HTTP, HTTPS, COAP, MQTT and XMPP, both versions of IP are supported over there. Cellular provider and technology. IoT devices with cellular modems are dependent on the generation of the cellular technology as well as the data services offered by the provider. For first three generation of the data services, that is the 2G, 2.5G and 3G, IPv4 is the base protocol version. Consequently, if IPv6 is used with this generation, it must be tunneled over the IPv4. On 4G and LTE networks, data services can use both IPv4 or IPv6 as a base protocol depending on the provider. So suppose if you are having a serial communications, then how to deal with the both IPv4 and IPv6 versions. Many legacy devices in certain industries such as manufacturing and utilities communicate through the serial lines. So the data is transferred using a proprietary or a standards based protocol such as the DNP3, Modbus, IEC. In the past, communicating this serial data over any sort of distance could be handled by an analog modem connection. However, the service provider support for analog line services has declined. The solution for communicating with these legacy devices has been to use the local connections. To make this work, you connect the serial port of the legacy device to a nearby serial port on a device of communications equipment, typically a router, and this router will make to work the serial traffic to work over the IP. Next thing is the IPv6 adaptation layer. So as we have discussed earlier itself, whether it may be a IPv4 or IPv6, depending upon the device which supports a particular layer, that kind of IP address may be used. So this brings us to the end of the lecture based on the need for optimization in IP for IoT. Thank you.